Hello and welcome back to Azure Terraformer. Today we're going to be building off of that multi-subscription environment that we set up in the previous episode, and we're going to be adding a shared image gallery for both development and production using a single Azure DevOps pipeline. So I've gone ahead and inside my infrastructure project I've created a new repo called Infra Machines, which is where I'm going to keep my source code that manages my machine images. And I've cloned it. So if we go look at my code base here, I've imported my Terraform pipeline template and my Terraform code, like my boilerplate stuff, that just sets up the basics here. And so we've got episode 13. We're building a resource group name from that, and we're off to the races. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So because this is going to be a long-lived environment, meaning I plan on provisioning this and using it permanently, I'm not going to use the random string. I use the random string a lot in lab work where I just want to ensure uniqueness across things. But in this sample, or in this episode, we're going to be actually provisioning something that's going to hang around for a while. So instead of using my normal rando and my normal generic names, I'm actually going to structure this so that I've got two environments. So I know I normally use terraform.tfrs for those things. In this case, I'm going to create a new file called envdev.tfrs, and I'm going to give it a variable. There's going to be a new variable, and it's going to be application name, and we're going to call this AZTF DevOps. Actually, let's call this Packer. Better yet, image gallery. How about machine images? There we go. To be consistent. And I'm actually going to put that in here because that's going to stay the same every time. Now, in my environment, I'm going to give it an environment name of dev. And I'm going to create a new file called envprod.tfrs. And I'm just going to give it another one like that. We're going to call it prod. Okay? And so now, if I do ever add additional configuration values that are different from dev to prod, I can always go in, and add those and differentiate the environments, and I maintain a history of those values. But this is just a way that I want to keep the different configuration values for the environment. We're no longer going to have this local carry the name. We are going to import the name, the application name, and the environment name. Okay, and now we're going to have a var application name, and then we're going to have a var environment name. Bada bing, bada boom. So we got RG app name dash environment name. So this will be something to the effect of AZTF machine images dev. AZTF machine images prod, depending on which var file that I'm using. Okay. And so, yeah, so I've got kind of the initial setup for what my resource group is going to look like. I've got my pipelines here. So let's just go ahead and commit this. So I'm going to add initial commit. This is going to go into my Azure DevOps repo. Yay. Now I'm going to go over, we'll just hit refresh. I haven't set up branch protections and Gitflow on this yet. Okay, that'll be a coming. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to, for starters, get the basics set up for my pipeline, because I have a working pipeline. So now I'm going to create a pipeline. It's going to use, this repo. I'm going to use an existing YAML file because that's in my code. It's in main, hooray. It's going to be plan, and we're not going to run it. We're going to hit save. Just going to make that a little smaller. And it gives it this extremely detailed pipeline name. I absolutely hate it. Got to go in the triggers here to actually edit this thing. And the way I like to rename these things, so if you go look at your build pipelines, you go to all, okay? You can use folders to organize these things. So I'm going to create a new folder. Again, I'm in the project called infrastructure, so all this stuff is my infrastructure. I'm going to call this machine images, okay? And so within machine images, I'm going to have a dev environment. New folder, dev. And then I'm going to have a machine images prod environment. Okay? Now I'm gonna move this, rename move. We're gonna drop this into dev. Okay, so now it's within the context of our dev environment. I'm gonna edit it, and I'm just gonna say, and I gotta go to triggers, and this thing is gonna be called plan. Okay. So now if we go back and look at all of our beautiful pipelines, okay, we've got a plan. There will be an apply as well, okay? But we've got a plan set up. So now I've got to configure this pipeline. So I got to go back and hit edit. I got to go and link some variables. So those variable groups that we set up in the previous episode are going to come in uber handy here. So I need my Terraform credentials, yay. And I need my backend. Okay, and it's going to be US West. Wunderbar. Okay, now let's go back and look at these pipe. We just got to make sure that these are backend resource group name, backend storage account name, backend storage container name. Do we have all those things set up properly? So we've got backend resource group name, backend storage account name, backend storage account container name. It always throws me off. So backend storage account. So instead of storage account, container name is just storage container name, which is probably better, I guess. So we'll just jam that in there, make it a little bit more concise. Probably need to fix it everywhere. Okay, everything's got a tick and tie. Okay, and now we are going to put in a update to the backend here. So the backend storage account container name has to get updated here as well. Okay. You know what? I'll probably rename that back in a future episode just because my OCD takes over and whatever. So we'll see what happens. All right. So now I do want to have my application name and my environment name. Now, what's interesting is what I've done here is I've set these as the pipeline variables. So the pipeline variables, application name and environment name, are going to drive what the backend key is going to be, and will potentially be used to make a selection on what environment TFRs that we want to use as well. So I think it is important that we have, even though I suppose the application name is already in our code in here, right? We need to have this value think it probably makes sense to have this value passed in as a pipeline variable. So for here, I'm just gonna add application name, and we're gonna call it that. And then we're gonna have an environment name. We're gonna call it dev, okay? So that's what we're doing. Okay, so now my pipeline file, which is plan, I think all of these values are set. So this is my Terraform credentials. This is my backend path. This is how I create a backend key as well, which the naming convention is really whack. Might have to fix that as well. Backend key. I don't know. Might be okay. We'll see. Anyway, so I got my key set here, and we're gonna run it. Okay. So let's see how this goes. Let me commit those updates. Update container. And let's go back to our pipeline. And and you can see, like, it's with the folders, it's pretty descriptive, right? We got machine images dev, the plan. The plan is going to run. And we can't set those at runtime. So it's not a huge deal. Let's just get this going. Oh, I think one thing I may have missed is the working directory. Yeah, I need to set the working directory. So the working directory is going to be, I always forget if it's like got a / or not. I'm going to go without the / and let's just see what happens. It might complain. It might complain real hard. Yeah. Yeah, so lack of working, we just fixed that. Now let's see if the working directory that I passed in is actually good or if it needs a /. I can never remember if Azure DevOps wants to have a / to start or no / in this context. Looks good. Looks good. So notice we're hitting the dev Terraform state. We hit 67,875. That's our dev Terraform state. We're using a key, which is dev. We're not using workspaces. Okay, that's an interesting call out. Let's get that out of here. And let's see what it wants to do. And you know, it jammed up on the environment name. So I knew I would have missed something. I got to make sure that I pipe in the values from the pipeline as variables in there. So what we should probably do is we need to be able to specify in our script what TFR's file we're going to use, right? Because we want to pass in the environment dev var file. This is going to give us the application name and the location. This is going to give us the environment name. So let's merge those together. It should bring in this file by default every time. It's only like when you have an explicit thing that you need to set it differently. So I already have the environment name. I wonder if I could just pass in, now where did it go awry? I think validate passed, right? But it's the plan that went awry. So plan needs some love, right? So we need we need to go to Terraform. And let's go to docs. Let's go to var file, variables, and input variables. Should be good. Input variables. Okay, so again, how do we pass in input variables? So there's a couple of different ways. If you just RTFM, let's get down here, assigning values. So we can pass them in using the var-var, which we don't want to do. We can pass in a var file. The var file has to be in quotes. So, and then you can also set TF, you can export environment variables, TF var, right? Which I have historically done that a lot, just because I like Bash. But I found that actually these TFR files for non-sensitive values for long-lived environments kind of makes it nice, because then you have source control management of the configuration that you're inputting. So if you've got things in there like SKU size and instance count, and those things change over time, it's kind of nice. Like, what am I doing? This doesn't make any sense. It's kind of nice to have that stuff in there. And I think this is generic enough that I can just pass in an additional parameter here, which is going to be might have to go before auto approve. We'll find out, I guess. The name of the var file is env, and then it's going to be good Lord, environment name. And I may have to do something fancy with like Azure DevOps syntax, but I think this is meeting the 1, 2, 3 input parameters that my code supports. Let me go. Oh, this is in apply anyway. So I need this in plan. So plan should be solid as well. All right, and we have the environment name there. Okay, so let's add our TFVars file to bring in the environment name. And you will notice that in the pipeline, it didn't air out on the application name. And I got too many browser windows going on here, but it stalled, and I'm going to have to cancel this because it'll just spin until the Azure DevOps timeout happens. So I'll just cancel that. But what it stalled on was the environment name, and I'm presuming that means that it was successful in pulling in the Terraform.tfrs, which is the default var file for Terraform. So I think we just directly committed to main because I haven't set up Gitflow. So I'm just going to rerun this pipeline again with the latest code, and we'll see if it likes our code there. If it doesn't, we're going to be in trouble. The var file might have to go before the auto approve. We'll see. So far so good. So yeah, and there we go. We got our dev environment in there. RG, AZ, AZTF, Azure Terraform, machine images, dev. Okay. So the plan looks pretty good. I like the plan. Let's go back here. It looks like it looks like I'm adding the auto prove on. Oh yeah, the auto prove only affects the apply, which that makes sense. So just for safety, let's put that before the auto prove and let's commit that. Okay. All right, we'll commit and push that. And then let's set up the apply pipeline for dev. So I'm going to go ahead with this little ... on the folder. Okay, I'm not doing new pipeline up here, blue button. Don't do that. Okay, I want it to be in the folder so it's all nice and organized. I'm going to get new pipeline. I'm going to do all the same things. This is a little bit tedious. The path to the file is going to be apply. And I'm going to save, and it's going to give it a hideous name. And I'm going to go to triggers, and it's in the right folder, but this is going to be the apply for dev. Okay. And so now I need to do all those things again. I got to go application, name, AZTF, machine, images. We're going to go environment, name, and we're going to go dev, and then working directory, which is just Terraform. There we go. Okay. So I always like using that working directory because if you've got multiple Terraform deployments in one source code repo, which could be an anti-pattern, you may or may not want to do that for various reasons, just from a manageability standpoint. At least the working directory with these pipelines does give you that flexibility to do that. And so we are deploying to dev. We're going to use the same backend and credentials for Terraform. And now we are going to run the apply, and it's going to deploy us a extremely sophisticated resource group out in our dev subscription. If all things go well, we'll see. There we go. Let's see if it pops up yet. I'm like spamming the refresh button. There it is. So RG AZTF machine images dev, and it is in our development subscription. There we go. So now I can, because these pipelines are so reusable, okay, so reusable, I can very easily create a new pipeline from this template and just go through this process again, use that same thing, go to plan. Of course, I've got to do some of this tedious like UI wizardry, which is a little bit of a gag factory, but what are you going to do? Application name, AZTF, Terraform, no. AZTF, machine images, environment name, working directory. I don't know why, but the tab goes down to the add button instead of the value, which is counterintuitive in my opinion, but I didn't write Azure DevOps. Maybe they have a good reason for that. I don't know. We are going to go link to our prod credentials and our prod backend. So you can see we're going to a different storage account in a different resource group with the same name, a different container. Did I create that container in production? Maybe I missed it. Yeah, I did. Good. Okay. It'll get really mad real fast if I didn't create that container. And I got a different service principal to do the dirty. And yeah, so there we go. So I've got my, and it's named, I didn't even change the name. Didn't even change the name. And this is going to be plan for production. So for prod, we can kind of see what's going to change. I'm going to create a new pipeline in that same folder. Same file, but different file. Apply, very, very important, very important. But everything else is the same. So variables, application name, tab, working directory. We're going to say Terraform, that's the folder in our source code. The environment name is prod. We're going to go aztf machine images. We're going to smash save. We're going to go to variable groups and we're going to link the prod. You got to do this twice. It is multi-select, I'm pretty sure, but you can't do it. Won't do it. I did it again. There might be a faster way to rename this. If there is, post a comment and let me know. Put me out of my misery. Save as a draft. Oh no. There we go. And I didn't do it, did I? Apply, save. Save as a draft. Who makes drafts? We ship it. Ship it. Okay. So we're going to run a plan in prod. And we should see all the things because we're using the same source code. All the source code's the same. We're just there's nothing hard coded. What I love about this approach, there's nothing hard coded in this pipeline, in this script for the environment. It is all of the configuration is under source control management, and it makes it so reusable. There's no nasty hard codings of vars or things like that in here. Probably the only nasty is like the fact that we use this naming convention on the var file that we do for our named environments. And I've prefixed these with env dev and env prod to keep them together. So if you had more environments, test, QA, stage, whatever, at least all your var files are going to be in the same location. I suppose you could put these in a folder somewhere, but I just dump them in the root directory and give them an environment name. Just keep things simple. Where's my pipeline? Let's check on our pipeline. Let's check our plan before we run apply. Okay, sweet. Yes, looks good. Let's run apply. We got to go to all of our pipelines because it's never been run before. No runs yet. There's one coming. Here it comes. While we're doing that, let's go check on our Terraform state. So if we go into the dev state, we should see some stuff in here. So aztf machine images dev. Yep, solid. We go in here, we go to production state. We should see some stuff in production. Boom. So again, I'm like the global admin for this account, right? For the subscription. So in a real world scenario, the reason why you put Terraform state in the subscription boundary is so that you can use the security boundary of the subscription so that people can't go look at the sensitive values within your resource group or within your storage account within Terraform state, right? So that's kind of an important thing. And I suppose you could probably create a special region, or a special subscription that's just managed by security folks or things like that. But just bear in mind that the Terraform has to be able to read that stuff in order for it to work. So you'll have to consider how you secure the Terraform identities in order to make sure that nobody can access the Terraform state. Okay, so I've got my 2 resource groups with nothing in them. Wow, we have fancy stuff. But what we've just accomplished is we have clean separation between our states, between our resource groups. We have like our same Terraform pipeline deploying into dev and deploying into production. What's beautiful about Terraform is it's iterative. So now I can go back and, I've got all the plumbing in place. So I can now is where the fun begins, right? I've got my resource group. It's all set up. It's all named correctly. So I'll never have any naming conflicts and stuff like that. So I can really go and just go nuts. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go and I want to get my Packer repo out there. And what was that? What was that? Episode 11? Yeah. So we just used that shared image gallery resource from episode 11. It's going to be gal. Okay. And it may not support hyphens because of those, the fact that gal doesn't have that. I'm pretty sure it doesn't support hyphens. That's one of the tricky things of naming in Azure is you may have some problems with hyphenation. And in fact, I think my application name even has hyphens in it. So I may have some problems getting this application name to work nicely in my gallery. Now I can do that just by declaring a local, and then I call this my gallery name, and then I take the string that I want it to be. Okay, so this is my string that I want it to be, and I'm just gonna use the replace method, and I'm pretty sure, oh gosh, it always does that. So I want to replace any hyphens with just like nothingness in that string. Now let's go check the syntax, right? So we've got functions. Let's go replace wrapless, replace string function. Okay, so I did it wrong. Okay, so this is the string, the substring, and the replacement. my order was all jacked. So this is the string, this is the substring that we're looking for, and we're declaring war on all hyphens, and we're removing all hyphens. So now I'm just going to reference this local, and that's going to scrub my gallery name to get all the nasty stuff out of there. So we should be good. Okay, so shared images and things. My resource group is still called main. Wonderful. So let's keep my baseline Ubuntu. Okay, I'm still using my gallery image. It's called main. I'm still going to be using Ubuntu 18.04. This is going to be Azure Terraformer. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's go. Okay, so we are going to, we're just going to add this. So add shared image gallery. Wonderful. Okay. And so now we don't need that anymore. So let's just go rerun our pipelines. So we're going to run dev. So the reason you might be thinking, why did you not put this in multi-stages and stuff like that? I like separating plan and apply into two different builds because the plan I like to run on the pull request. So the plan we can run the validate, and we can run the plan so that we can see what it's going to do before we approve the pull request. And that way, once we approve the pull request and we merge into main, boom, that's when we run the apply. So here, if you can imagine, I submitted a pull request. It wants to do this thing. And we're going to put, it's all US West, wunderbar. It's in that resource group, and we're all good. And we removed all the hyphens, right? Because I presume that's what it needs. And so now we're going to run apply in dev. No, not there. Not in prod. Not in prod. Okay, we're going to run apply in. I need to set up the Gitflow so that this is all neat and tidy. This is kind of annoying. Okay. So why don't I do that while I'm waiting for the apply to happen there? I'm just going to protect this branch because it's kind of annoying me. I'll go to my branches. Now I'm going to go branch policies. I'm going to turn on build validation. We're going to run plan on dev. I suppose I could also run it on prod, just to see what we're going to do in prod. Yeah. But prod, it's kind of up to you. It's like if you want full CD, you're going to have to think through what your production deployment is like and how to stage that. But for me, like, I think just for starters, like if I can get a manual run on prod, I think I'm good. Let's push everything automatically to dev. But then when we want to go to prod, let's do it very carefully. So apply is still running in dev, and I don't think we should have any problems. So I'm just going to run the same plan in prod. And it looks like the apply succeeded in dev. Yep. So let's go check it out. So we got our gallery and we got our virtual machine image definition. Wonderful. And so the same thing's going to go out in prod. And you might be asking, well, why can I use the same image gallery for dev and prod? Sure, absolutely. Go right ahead. You don't deploy a dev environment. Just go for prod, and then these image definitions are going to have a version history, so you can treat it that way. I just prefer to organize it such that we very conscious, we only push approved images into prod, and in dev we kind of have a little bit more freedom. We have a little bit more dirty in there, and that's fine, right? So there we go. So I think my plan for prod worked. So let's run this on prod, and we're good to go. And then I'm just going to test the Gitflow a little bit. I think I may need to modify the apply trigger to make sure that it automatically happens on merge. And we should probably batch while it's building. Otherwise, we're going to have Terraform state conflicts. Like you can't access Terraform state simultaneously. It's not a good thing. So again, by default, the pipeline template has no triggers. When you want to use this, this could go in the file itself, but I override it here. This is more of a me thing than anything. It could be done differently as well. So anyways, let's just go test a change. I don't know, we could add a Windows. Let's add a Windows 2016 virtual machine image. How about that? Windows 2016 baseline. It's going to be Windows. It's going to be Azure Terraformer. It's going to be Windows Server. Windows Data Center. Not sure if it'll be super happy about the SKU, but we'll find out. I have to drop a terminal and create a branch. I forgot. Git checkout b feature win 2016 image. And let's push and commit that win 2016 to that feature branch, because we should not be able to be merging it into main. And then let's go look and create a pull request. Wunderbar. And the pull request has been created. I'm a very bad boy. Like, I did not give a very good description to myself, who is also the reviewer, so don't judge me, okay? But you should probably write a nice description of like what your pull request is supposed to do. But as you can see, like, my pull request has this awesome plan that's happening, and I'm just gonna approve it and auto-complete it, because I'm presuming the plan is gonna go like, well, who knows? Maybe it does not like my SKU with a hyphen in it, so this could fail. That might be fun. I guess we'll find out. Let's watch it. Are we being queued? I got so many pipelines running. Yeah, we're being queued. We're still deploying the production environment. Okay, so finally, that's done. Sorry, the ad revenue for this channel doesn't quite support parallel jobs yet. Not likely that it ever will, but I'll doing the best we can. And this is probably one of those errors that may even fail on the apply, which is kind of sad, but if it's going to fail, it's probably going to fail on the apply. So there we go. So our pull request auto-completed. Okay, I marked it to auto-complete. I approved it and marked it to auto-complete. So once that plan was successful, no errors, no issues, everything's happy, then it auto-merged. And then that triggered the apply to execute on the dev environment. So now we should see this provision a new virtual image definition for a Windows VM in our development virtual image gallery. As long as hyphens are okay in the SKU name, which, I don't know, do we have a precedent in the Ubuntu one? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, we should be fine. I mean, it's got hyphens all over the place in the Ubuntu one, so yeah, we should be good. Should be good here. Okay, and that's it. So I hit refresh, and there you go. So we set up our shared image gallery to be managed for both dev and production subscriptions. We set up a pipeline to provision the Terraform that creates those two environments. We set up a build validation step to run Terraform Validate and Terraform Plan. All stuff we've done in previous episodes, we're just kind of stitching it together in this episode. For real, right? So now the next step is to set up a Packer build pipeline and start pumping out images to those two Windows 2016 and Ubuntu 18.04 virtual machine image definitions, so we can have a versioned history and start spinning up our own custom VMs from in both dev and prod. So I hope you like this content. I hope you find it useful. I know Azure's a big ocean out there, and there's a lot of different services. Let me know what you'd like to hear more about. Do you want to? Are you enjoying the Azure virtual machine oriented content? Do you want me to get into functions? Do you want me to get into AKS? Let me know in the comments and feedback what you'd like to hear more about, and I'll put it on my backlog. Until next time, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Azure Terraformer. Thanks a lot. See ya.